I am a preppy wannabe. In fact, when I got the official preppy handbook, I read it and didn't realize it was written as a joke. I thought it was serious because, it's a satire on the preppy lifestyle. And then preppy became, in the 80s, a very fashion conscious thing. Everybody dressed preppy with Lacoste and polo and blah, blah, all natural fiber. I went down to Lassiter's, which is now Robbins, and it's a dress shop, but that was where Lassiter's men's store was. And I walked into Marguerite Lassiter and I said, well, I want this and this, and I want the natural fiber. And she said, Bob, preppy is out. And I said, Marguerite, for some of us, it's a lifestyle. Alvin came from being a alligator on a shirt, which was a preppy thing. Lacoste is crocodile, because I checked that out legally with my lawyer. Are you kidding? Because I wasn't going to get sued. I loved the idea of the animal on the shirt, but it couldn't be, of course. I was wearing Lacoste. The official story is that's how it happened. The myth that I tell everyone is that Alvin visited me and said, here's my story. Would you write it for me? And so Alvin, I was glad to do that for him. That's the story I give to the public. That's a myth. It came from my obsession with the preppy look. And I thought, wouldn't it be interesting if he came alive? What if this came off? I mean, people are so obsessed with the crocodile Lacoste or the polo pony of, Ralph Lauren. How about the Bob Peterson alligator? And that's where it came from. And I started writing this story of what if it came off his shirt and came to life. And literally, seriously, I wrote the initial play in one morning. It just was there. And the Alvin name was natural. It was just Alvin all the time. Everything has to be based in truth, in reality. Alvin can't be a caricature. You can't play an idea. I don't care what Catherine Houghton says. You can't play an idea. You can't play a concept. You have to play So I based Alvin on someone I knew. And his buddy Frank, I based him on a person I knew. And there's their honesty. There's their reality. And you have to have a reality. Even in the strangest comical, farcical cartoon world, there has to be honesty and based in some germ of truth. So yeah, they're based on real people. For the students, the kids who reacted to it, loved Alvin, loved that whole thing. And so I said, his story's not over. He left Frank and left the Digby campus and went to Hollywood, and that was called Hollywood Daze, D-A-Z-E. And by the way, every Alvin show has a value, a story, a theme, a lesson. So Hollywood Daze was D-A-Z-E, believing in yourself, and this was the thing in that time, don't take drugs. And what happened when he went to Hollywood, he took a magic potion and turned into Algaitier, a movie star. And then he realized it's no fun to be somebody if that somebody is somebody else. He had to be authentically Alvin. He couldn't be Algaitier. He had to be who he was. And the next year, I took him out west, and he went to a small western town and helped them find out who they were. And it was called Band Together because they wanted to make a community band. But there was a bully. And so if you were together, band together, you can do things if you're on the side, right? So being, a community. And then the next year, I sent him to outer space, and it was called Spaced Out. And he went to a different planet where he found the lesson of being kind and being honest and all that stuff. Wasn't working. I had to bring him back to campus. So every subsequent show takes place on the Digby campus. And it was interesting because I reworked the first one, the magic well. It's magical. That's how Alvin comes off the shirt, it's through the magic well. And I remember I wrote Being Frank, which I really liked the show. It was the second one. But when the kids were walking into the audience, a little second grade girl turned to her friend and said, there's going to be a magic well, wishing well. There's a magic well. No, there isn't. This doesn't have a magic wishing well. And I realized you have to listen to your audience, which does your audience want. However, what I loved about Being Frank was the one place you can't hide successfully behind. You can't hide behind your conscience. Be who you are. Be authentically you. And your conscience is like a mirror. You must look into it once a day. And then the next year, uniquely Frank, is that Alvin and Frank wished that they could change places, and they brought the wishing well back. And they do. So Alvin is in Frank's body. It's Freaky Friday, and Frank's in Alvin's body. And that one was very successful for our audiences. Really liked that a lot. The COVID year, we didn't do a show. But then when I revived Alvin again, I realized, oh, the first one could be better. And nobody had seen it. It had been so many years that the kids didn't see the genesis of Alvin. And I thought, I want to do this. So I talked to Bernie, and Bernie said, yeah, I'll do this again. And I rewrote and tweaked and tweaked and rewrote. And I like it. I've always liked it. But now I love it. It's called Truly Frank. And it's about being, true to who you are. The message is just as important to adults because it appeals to the child in all of us, hopefully. But yes, I did have it. Yes, they're going to be young students. I did know. Because, originally, see, that's why the Grimm fairy tales were written. Cinderella taught the value of what? Kindness. Sleeping Beauty, the value of what? Patience. Jack and the Beanstalk, courage. I've always known that it was going to be for an audience of young people, and I wanted to teach them a value. Not only to be entertained, but to teach. I send out every year before the show vocabulary words to all of the teachers so that they can cover words that we'll use in the play that may not understand. So that goes out. And then what we do at the end, we hand an activity book to the students that has puzzles and games and find, the maze and all that stuff. But we hand to the teachers questions, critical questions, that they can use to discuss in their classroom about what they saw in the play. Who is your best friend? What is true friendship? Why was Alvin being ignored? This is for last year's Truly Frank. It was all about my best friend. Frank figures out what a true friend is, Truly Frank. And so we have them write an essay about your best friend. And then there's the shuffle, and then there's, the maze and all that stuff. So we send this out, but I recently have gotten really into that. And that wasn't with the first Alvins. I figured it out. I got to do more than just they leave with this lesson. I needed to prep them. So that's why we send out vocabulary words. And I purposely put in words that I don't think they will know in the script so that we can send those out, like cotillion. What is a cotillion? Well, it's a dance, it's a party. Well, we send that out so that the kids will know and they will understand it. What's been really exciting for me is handing out the critical questions to teachers. I've only done that in the recent years because that's really important. I had trouble admitting this for a long time because someone pointed out to me after I was doing this for a while, Bob, this is your mission. This is what you're supposed to be doing. And I thought, no, it's not. I'm a real artiste. I will do, A Streetcar Named Desire. I will do the great plays. I will do Excuse. I will do, how silly that I would do children's theater. And I realized, oh no. By doing the Alvin shows, I'm doing the important theater. To some degree, it is a craft. It is formula. In terms of you have to have the exposition to the story, etc. In other words, the background so that anybody hearing the story will know what it's about. And of course, the important thing is conflict. If you haven't got the conflict or the dilemma or the problem, you haven't got a play. You haven't got a story. So basically what I do is just think that process through and keep open to what's happening around me. Being Frank, the second one, I read about Roger Stone, what he did when he was 7, 8 years old in terms of manipulating a school election. I thought this is a great idea. Good theater, if you're enjoying a play, it's because it's based on something that's honest. So I just keep and read the newspapers. Well, I still read a newspaper, but read your Kindle. I just find out something that interests me and then I just apply plot, thought, character, diction, song, spectacle to it. Alvin has he finally found his voice for me, who he is. And Frank has evolved too. So what I like about them is that they have become such a team. And it's interesting because Frank always slips. He learns a lesson, but then he's human. And he becomes, very, kind of backslides on some of his values. And it's up to Alvin to keep him on track. Alvin is his conscience. In fact, I've always said it's like Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket in many ways. They are a great dynamic because Alvin and Frank make each other better. it would be interesting to see, we always see how Alvin shapes Frank, and Frank is better because he knows his best friend, Alvin. Interesting what Alvin could learn from Frank. I don't know, I'll have to explore that. I like that idea. That's a new one. Okay, see, it all comes from real life. So I'll have to explain it in my own life to find out how, I just don't know how people affect me. Now I have to find out how I've affected people. Kim Krull, president of the college, she came to the Alvin show, one of them 2 or 3 years ago, and she said to me, does the actor who's playing Alvin understand the suit he's putting on, how important that is, what this responsibility is of his to wear that suit, to appear in front of students and kids? Does he get it? And I thought, that's a great observation. I was so glad that the Alvin character has that reputation. I mean, kids have been known to cheer when he walks on stage, And I have great pictures of, at the end of the show, when Alvin and the cast meet the kids wanting to hug Alvin. It is a responsibility when you wear that suit. You have to maintain a decorum of Alvin. I think it's because it's the last one you do. Richard Rogers says that your favorite show is the one that you're working on at the moment. So there was something about the last show that I truly franked that is very special to me. I think I finally got it right. And very, very swell cast, very nice people, and very correct people for their roles. So at this point, I love his genesis. I love where he came from. But I also, I like all the shows that he's on campus, and I want to keep him on campus and keep him with his buddy Frank.